muse of fire that would ascend the brightest heaven of invention. A holodeck for a stage, ensigns to act and captains to behold the swelling scene. Star Trek often made a lot of references to Shakespeare, and Shakespeare often used characters to give a bit of a prologue, to kind of break the fourth wall and bring the audience into it and explain what was going to happen, to apologize for not having a luscious, fantastic set on which to stage their play. Likewise, we apologize for this crude setup, but we are so glad that you are all here. And like the Bard, we encourage you to use your imagination to take you to the bridge of a ship called Voyager. We have worked for a good couple of years on this, after having joked for many years about why that town in Iowa got to have all the fun with their Captain Kirk sign. And here we are. And here you are. And we are all so, so glad that you are here. I'm going to take care of a couple of housekeeping items, just to make sure that it's all in our minds. First of all, everyone here in the event space must be wearing a mask. It must cover your mouth and your nose. And please, please, social distance if you are not with your own group of people. You can spread out down the beeline, but if you are standing or sitting on it, please be aware that it is a thoroughfare and people will be coming through and you must leave space for them. We are out of booklets, alas, but afterwards we will have a souvenir photo of the statue that you can pick up at the table. After the unveiling, you will also be able to come and take pictures with the statue. We ask that you sanitize your hands before and after. So now I'm going to answer that bugging question that you probably all have. Who are all these people standing up here? My name is Melissa Kocius, and I will be your chorus, your host for the day. And I am now going to introduce all of these fine people, our steering committee, who have worked so, so hard to make this happen. And we're just going to get on with it. So, I'm going to say your name, and I'd like you to step forward or wave or jump around. We have Adam Nahas, who is our project director and technical leader. Josh Dinner, our communication and design lead. Jenny Kelly, our secretary. Peter Kaczmarczyk, our president. And Mary Beth Kaczmarczyk, our VP and treasurer. Lee Lawmaster, our tech support. Marianne Macklin, our community liaison. Marco Ornato, our fundraising chair. And Laura Martinez, our staunch supporter. And now I would like to acknowledge some of our supporters and sponsors. our local business donors, the Irish Lion, Indiana University, Hennepin Marketing, now Brain Labs, our partners, IHCDA and Patronicity, and our fiscal sponsor, Artisan Alley. We would also like to acknowledge the White Rabbit for printing our fantastic souvenir program books and a lot of other things for us. And now I am going to bring up some folks to tell you more about this project that has taken up these past couple of years for us. So first, we're going to have Susan Sandberg from our City Council.
Good morning, Bloomington, and where can a girl get a cup of hot coffee? The finest natural emulsion ever invented. I hope there's some over there. Listen, everybody, when Peter first approached me about this project, I jumped right on board. Because where better than Bloomington, Indiana, for us to do something this cool along our wonderful Beeline Trail right in front of the Wonder Lab and celebrate the fact that Captain Janeway is going to be born here on May 20th, 2336. So my challenge to all of you in my Starfleet Command mask is to make sure we keep this city of Bloomington diverse, respectful, civil, and safe for everybody, and for the birth of this wonderful leader, a woman in leadership that I certainly can applaud. Thank you all for being here. Thank you so much to Peter and all the wonderful members of the collective who did such a phenomenal job raising the funds and making sure we have this wonderful statue here in the city of Bloomington. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Susan. Next, we have Mary Ann, who's going to tell us a little about Janeway's origins.
So the big question is, why are we here in Bloomington celebrating the future birthplace of Captain Catherine Janeway? This I can answer with two words, actually one name, Jeri Taylor. A pioneering woman, yes. A pioneering woman in the Trek universe who also has a very special connection to this town. Jeri Taylor spent part of her childhood here in Bloomington and graduated with honors from Indiana University. Her time here and her love for Indiana inspired her to choose Bloomington as Captain Janeway's future birthplace. Awesome! As a scriptwriter and executive producer for Star Trek Voyager, Ms. Taylor brought life to the Voyager crew, as many of you know, creating complex and reliable characters that continue to bring audiences along for the journey. Voyager is not only an exciting science fiction drama, but a story of people facing hard choices and navigating difficult relationships with that quest to go home. Recently, I wrote a very long overdue fan letter to Jeri Taylor, which said in part, "Thank you for Voyager and a female captain whose wisdom is often nearby. An influence on my own leadership, Janeway's character reminds me to embody clarity, compassion, strength, humor, intelligence, common sense, creativity, passion for science, and a good cup of coffee along the way." And I added, I may swear a little bit more than Janeway, but that's an occupational hazard. Ms. Taylor has commended the Janeway Collective for its commitment and effort in accomplishing this task and offered her enthusiastic congratulations. She hopes to visit Bloomington again someday and see the Janeway Monument, and I hope to be here when that happens. Thank you so much, and thank you, Jeri Taylor.
Thank you, Mary Ann. Next, we have Aaron Eby, who is the sculptor of this statue. You're going to see in just a little bit.
Greetings, Voyagers. My name is Aaron Eby. I am the sculptor who was commissioned with the task of capturing Captain Janeway in clay. When I was first contacted with the possibility by my friend Adam Nahas, I knew the greatness of the challenge I would be accepting. Not only did I understand the legacy of Kate Mulgrew in her role as the first female captain in Star Trek history, but as an artist, I understood the challenge present in attempting to reflect the strength and beauty of Kate in the medium of sculpture. To achieve her likeness, we utilized as reference material official archived photographs from Voyager, footage directly from the show, and the miniature collectible bust produced by Eagle Moss Studios. Upon receiving final approval from CBS, we were able to send the clay captain out to the foundry in Indiana here at Sincere's Foundry in Indiana for bronze casting, where she arrived safely unharmed, thankfully. And as it is said, the rest has been history. I would like to thank the Captain Janeway Collective Monument Committee for selecting me as their sculptor, CBS for their patience with the approval process, and to everyone who worked closely on the project, including everyone who was mentioned here, but especially Peter, Mary, Josh, and again, Adam for thinking of me for the opportunity. I also want to thank my partner, Andrew, who's here as well, who's in the back somewhere, who's a huge Star Trek fan. And it's my hope that my contribution has done Captain Janeway justice, and that this monument is as enjoyable to its viewers as it was for me in helping to create it. It's been a thrill so far, and thank you for having me on your journey with you.
Thank you. Aaron Eby. Next up, we have Adam from Artisan Alley, who is going to tell you some more about our project journey.
Hello, fellow Voyagers. My name is Adam Nahas, and I'm the Executive Director of Artisan Alley, the parent organization of the Janeway Project, and the owner of Cyclops Studios, the project management company for the statue. My role as Project Director and Technical Designer started in early May of 2019. The initial collective was already formed, but they were looking for help to fund the project, find the makers to construct it, and oversee our time frame. They approached me about their idea for a limestone bench, and after some discussion, we felt Artisan Alley would be an excellent fiscal sponsor to help with the fundraising, legal assistance, and other logistical challenges. Additionally, with my sculpture background, we felt Cyclops Studios would be best able to offer professional sculpture services. Then once our joint missions were aligned, we set a course for Janeway. The monument took nearly 30 skilled artisans to construct, and I had the privilege of working with each professional. To begin, Sharon Fullingham, a local stone carver, created the first proposal of an all-limestone sculpt. Later, we adjusted the perspective of the base design, developing the Star Trek insignia shaped from above, and added the seal of the United Federation of Planets on the reverse side. We decided the top half would be better represented in bronze, so we contacted Aaron Eby, a talented portrait sculptor that I worked with at a San Francisco foundry. He modeled out a perfect bust in clay for both CBS and Kate Mulgrew to sign off on. Once approved, Sincere's Foundry in Indianapolis took that clay through the lost wax process and cast his sculpt. With the bust newly cast, I patinaed and polished the metal. Simultaneously, nearby Spencer Stonecutters Accent Limestone carved out our north-pointing base and pedestal, which was something a science officer like Janeway might appreciate. Josh Dinner, our graphic designer and photographer, designed the front plaque and commissioned the adjacent info table. The info table design was sent to Everywhere Signs for fabrication, and the plaque design went first to Peter Berderman, who transformed it into a CAD rendering, then to Pointer to laser cut and cover the sparkle powder-coated stainless steel. The City of Bloomington and the Parks and Rec Department, with support from the Wonder Lab, was able to secure this site. And finally, Encounter Concrete poured our foundation, complete with an impression of the Vulcan salutation. Thank you to all who helped make this dream a reality. On a personal note, this project came during a very difficult time for our communities, our nation, and even our planet. Many of us have struggled with the unknown, with new hazardous situations, with surprises that could not be avoided, just like the very first Voyager episode. And similar to the main obstacle of the Star Trek series, we're all pivoting our lives to get back to something that is familiar. Many of us are taking on additional leadership roles with friends, neighbors, and family, looking to us for direction and safety, similar to Janeway. In late February, just as news about the pandemic hit, and mere months before our original installation date, my daughter was born. As I continue to learn and navigate the challenges of parenthood, I'm comforted by the fact that my daughter will have the privilege of growing up in a time where icons and pioneers like Kate Mulgrew, Nichelle Nichols, and Sally Ride have trailblazed new paths into the social climate. They have broken the glass ceiling and given hope to women and men across this planet. They have ensured that the sky is no longer the limit. This statue represents more than the sum of its components or how and who assembled them. It is a beacon for anyone who aspires to greatness, and it exemplifies the principles of leadership, honor, and kindness as modeled by the captain herself. So, despite the challenges of 2020, and after months of countless volunteer hours by numerous individuals, we persisted and prospered in bringing this 24th century Starfleet officer home to Bloomington. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Next, we're going to bring up Mary Beth and Peter to bring you more history about this project.
Wow, welcome everybody. Good to see you all this morning. So, while we were on the Star Trek The Cruise in January 2019, I introduced myself to a lady as being from Bloomington, Indiana, the future home to Captain Janeway. She asked if we had a monument in Bloomington like they do for Kirk and Riverside. I said no, but we should have. We sat for the next hour brainstorming the best way to pitch the idea. We discussed how she influenced a lot of young ladies in STEM and how she had been an inspiration for so many.
As Mary Beth was saying, we got inspired to do this on the cruise, and we weren't even home yet, but we were sitting in a hotel, in a restaurant in South Carolina waiting for our flight, and I was texting Susan and going, "This is great, we have got to do this," and getting all excited. And as she said, she was very much on board with it from the start. Shortly after that, we got in touch with the Parks Department and Sean Starwitz, and he said, he said, "We've heard this idea before. There are people out here who want to do this. But, we'll help you. You guys have to do the work. You've got to show that you are more than just a bunch of enthusiastic nerds." And, he's right. We were a bunch of enthusiastic nerds, but we were a whole lot more. We quickly discovered a lot of other people who've been working on this project. Lee and Melissa had been meeting on Reddit to discuss it. Marco had set up a whole separate Facebook event page to try to get it going. But none of those had really ever taken off. So they joined up with us. Melissa found us, we found Marco, and we had started forming the collective. Shortly after that, Josh found us. Josh took a look at some of the pathetic graphics that I was producing for this project and said, "You need somebody who knows what they're doing here," and he was right. So Josh came in, he became our photographer, graphic designer, all kinds of stuff. Then we got put in touch with Adam at Artisan Alley. As he said, they became our fiscal sponsor. They allowed us to be a nonprofit and allowed us into a whole connection of artisans and other people that could really make this happen. So at that point, the rest of the team sort of came together. Jenny, Marianne, Laura joined us, and we had a committee. And as we said, by June 2019, we were off and we were running and bringing us to this point. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you so much, Peter and Mary Beth. Now I want to bring up somebody very dear to all of us. Joining us live. The good captain herself, Miss Kate Mulgrew.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Oh, it's wonderful to see you all. And I am not often rendered speechless, but in this moment I am. How many people have such a marvelous thing done in their honor, in their memory, as I think a wonderful comment on Janeway's legacy. I only wish I could be there with you. However, circumstances have prevented me from doing so, as you all know. I can't wait to see her. Who will do the unveiling, and then how will we judge? Not the work. I know the work is superb, but I'm longing to see what Aaron has done. Who will unveil this extraordinary accomplishment?
Mary Beth and Adam.
It'll be Mary Beth and Adam.
Yes.
Let's do it.
We have a couple of questions for you, and Peter and Mary Beth are going to ask them.
Good. Before you do, I'd like to say one thing. I'm in Los Angeles. I'm here because I am a first-time grandmother. And I have spent the last almost 3 months holding this exquisite new life in my arms. And as I've done this, I've had a lot of opportunity to meditate on my life and what's important in my life and what I most value. And hearing you all speak today is deeply moving to me, to realize that Janeway has had such an important role in your lives. And I think in cultural history is not only terribly affecting to me, but makes me want to go forth in a new way. And I am doing that, I think, with Prodigy. You all know about that by now. But this recognition is something extraordinary to me. And I am deeply proud to be honored in this way, and very saddened that I cannot be present, because as you know, I am the mother of a very gifted artist, and I applaud and hold artists very dear to my heart. So without further ado, shall we unveil her? Oh, you want to ask me a couple of questions? That's a real Janeway thing. Let's get going. Ask me a couple of questions.
Okay. How much did you know about Star Trek Prodigy when you agreed to do it, and what sold you on it?
Well, frankly, the negotiations took quite a long time. It was animated, as you know. I think only in terms of live action, when I think of Captain Janeway, live action being what it is, very rigorous, very challenging, and often quite daunting. So when Alex Kurtzman presented me with this idea, I wasn't entirely sure. And then over the months, the conversation evolved into what we could bring to an entirely new demographic of watchers. And this being, of course, young people and their mothers and their grandmothers. There will be crowded living rooms. And I thought the idea of bringing this to young minds is just too exciting, too provocative, and too promising. So that's what sold me in the end.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Another question I wanted to know is, by the end of Voyager's run, how much Kate was there in Janeway, and how much Janeway was and still is in Kate Mulgrew?
By the end of Star Trek Voyager, it was a marriage made in heaven. As you all know, I was shot out of a cannon. And all I could do was sort of stand and, chew gum at the same time. It was extraordinarily challenging, the first season. But by the 7th season, I belonged to her and she belonged to me. And I carry this forward every day in a most unusual way. A lot of you there are artists, and I think you can appreciate it. It's a transcendent kind of reality. And I get to live on, not only with Prodigy, but there are conventions. Moments like this are allowed to happen, are allowed to to take wing. It's really a remarkable opportunity to have married Captain Janeway and to have been allowed to love her in return. And I do.
Thank you, Kate. Got a few more
Thank you.
You have been an inspiration to fans for years. Who was an inspiration to you when you were young?
No, you're asking questions of a new grandmother. So my heart is, I'm very vulnerable these days. My mother really was something else. She was eccentric. She was singular. She imprinted herself on my very being and shot me into the world like an arrow. I miss her every day, really. My mother and my great teacher, Stella Adler, who told me she was going to knock the Iowa out of me if it was the last thing she ever did. And frankly, I think she was wrong. I'm rather proud of the Iowa in me, just as I'm rather proud that Janeway is standing there in Bloomington, where she belongs.
Thank you, Kate.
What's the weather like in Bloomington? I can't get a beat on it. You're all dressed differently. Is it warmish?
No.
No. Okay.
All right, Kate, I have one last question for you, and then we'll really get going on things here. As we said, you have obviously become a role model and an inspiration to other people. Is that anything you ever foresaw when you were young, that you would become a teacher or in that kind of role?
No, it wasn't. And I think that innocence or that naivete, or perhaps one might even say that blindness, had stood me in good stead when in fact it came upon me. I think a lot of people who are lucky enough to be in leadership roles do not expect it to come, and certainly not in this way as an actress. But it transcended acting very, very quickly. And I realized that I was going to be acting as a model, particularly for young women, and even more particularly for young women in science. So to be able to marry my creative passion with a legacy of this kind was wonderful and continues to be wonderful. And when I use words like it's a privilege, it's an honor, it's because there are not yet other words that can surpass them in meaning. It is a great privilege to be able to have played her and to know of her great resonance in the cultural world today.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I know you are so eager, and I know all of you are so eager to see the statue. We have one quick video that we want to show you all. I think you'll very much enjoy this.
Hey y'all, I'm Laura.
I'm Bridget Anderson, and I work with Patronicity.
My name is Aaron McDonald. I'm an astrophysicist and current science consultant for the Star Trek universe.
My name is Pat East. I'm the executive director of the Mill.
I'm Mohammed Noor. I'm a science consultant for the Star Trek universe.
Robert Picardo here, and I am delighted to appear virtually. When I think about it, I appeared virtually all 7 seasons on Voyager. But that's another thing. I mean, I was a hologram after all. Captain Janeway inspired a generation of young women to pursue STEM. Everyone was inspired by Janeway's leadership. I know I was. Not only by her character's leadership, but Kate's leadership as an actress on our set.
Janeway has probably been the biggest female role model for me. I learned the huge value of friendship, and Captain Janeway was at the helm of that.
Captain Janeway was the captain of the century. Janeway pushed new ideas on the term leader into the world at a time when we really needed that.
The statue is located right near a children's science museum called Wonder Lab. How appropriate.
Captain Janeway was really the one that got me through my PhD. I discovered Voyager when I was in graduate school. I was by myself, I was living in Scotland, I didn't know anyone. Akin to being lost in the Delta Quadrant, not knowing anyone, trying to find your way home, and needing to rely on science was something that really spoke to me.
I stepped into my STEM career at a time when the female empowerment movement had been in full swing. And I owe so much to the women before me who took on those challenges. And I think Captain Janeway is the embodiment of those women.
Janeway truly showed what it was like to be a captain. Keep your shirt tucked in, go down with the ship, and never abandon a member of your crew.
She's been dragged across the galaxy. She has to lead not only her own crew, but a crew of people who she was hunting just moments earlier. And she does this with grace. They look up to her and they know that she is looking out for them.
It was almost heartbreaking for me to watch this Starfleet captain and her crew get tossed 70,000 light years away from their home, which at the time felt like what I was doing. And I felt like I had been tossed into the Delta Quadrant with them.
Captain Janeway continues to get the acknowledgement from fans, from the community, and can have such a huge impact on people's lives, particularly when it comes to inspiring people to get into STEM fields.
Hi, I'm Ryan Hamlet, and I'm so very glad that ICDA and Patronicity could help contribute to a project that adds a little whimsy to one of Indiana's most magical cities. What began as the pipe dream of a few intrepid fans grew into a reality. When IHCDA analyzed the fundraising data for this project, we found that 7 of 9 visitors to the site made a donation. To know that next generations of Trekkies will discover this monument on their Voyager along the Beeline Trail is beyond fantastic. Make no bones about it, the Captain Janeway Monument is proof that if you can think of it, you can make it happen.
Leaders in Bloomington and beyond have been inspired by Captain Catherine Janeway, and we hope this sculpture will continue to encourage our young people to reach for the stars.
With the nod to equality, to the connection to IU, and it's just a really fun, cool, nerdy thing that I think everybody can rally around. Everybody loves Star Trek. It's uniquely Bloomington.
She was an extra treat when moving to Bloomington, and she's a great connection to nerds all over the world. I'm proud and grateful that we can have a daily reminder of that in our town.
I'm very delighted to appear at this unveiling of the Captain Janeway statue in Bloomington, Indiana. What a wonderful tribute to a wonderful character and a wonderful actress and friend, Kate Mulgrew. I've longed for years to raise a glass to her bust, and I'm delighted to have the opportunity to do it now. To Ms. Mulgrew, to the Janeway statue, to everyone there today, my great affection and tribute. Oh, Kate, you should try this.
Oh, so great. I'm completely overcome. This is amazing.
And now, I think we've all waited long enough to bring Captain Janeway home. So now I'm going to bring up some folks who are going to help end this suspense. We've got Peter and Mary Beth and Adam.
All through this project, I have heard so many stories about how Captain Janeway inspired others to accomplish so much. I am so very proud to be a part of this project, and Spock Bear and I would like to say a very sincere thank you to all who helped make it happen.
Thank you all. I know you want to see the statue. You're going to in just a second. But just thanks to everybody who supported us, taking this from idea to reality. We took the journey. Today we are at the journey's end. Today the Captain Janeway returns home to the place of her birth. 5, 4, 3,
2, 1. Look at that. absolutely knocked out.
We've got a video for you.
We have a video right after this that we're going to show some super close-ups.
Okay. Go ahead and run the video.
Roll film.
Once the design was in place, we knew that there were a handful of elements that needed to come together. We knew that it was going to be a limestone base, we knew that we wanted a stainless steel plate on the front, and we knew that the bronze was going to be fitting over the top of it. So we had to figure out each one as its own element because the different professionals don't work in all three of those mediums. The bronze process was definitely the longest process. Aaron Eby, the artist who created the sculpt of Janeway's figure, he shipped us a oil-based clay, and we were then able to create a mother mold from that. Then we needed to create a plaster backing. We poured molten wax into the vessel that went around the original sculpt. Once it's cooled, you then take off the mother mold again to create an exact replica of the original sculpt, which in this case now was just out of red wax. That all gets dipped in this liquid ceramic, and then you sprinkle on a silica sand, and you allow that to harden, and then you do it again and again and again, and every time you dip it gets thicker and thicker. The whole mold is heated in a kiln, and as that mold comes up to temperature, all that wax that's inside leaves those vents. What's left is just the ceramic shell and the hollow area inside where the wax once was. And you've got this perfect vessel for recreating the wax now in metals. You use ingots of bronze, you've got all this molten metal, and once they're brought up to the same temperature together, that bronze then gets poured into the form, filling it from the bottom up. The metal hardens and cools, and that leaves you a real raw casting. The bronze is then cut off of the sprues, and then you sandblast and remove imperfections. And after sandblasted, it should look like an exact replica of the original sculpt. The patina process is a process by which you force oxidation onto a metal by using certain acids, and with the heat, you're able to control that process and get certain colors that we want. We use liver of sulfur, which causes the entire sculpture to turn dark black, because the black is a great way to show the depth in the character. It shows shadow really well. Then you have to prime it and weatherproof it. Once we were able to scratch off some of the black, you heat it up with a massive blowtorch, and we use that to heat up the bronze again, and that removes everything that it's absorbed from the moisture in the air. We then applied a wax layer to it and did a few polishing effects, the glint in her eyes, her comm badge, her nails slightly, elements to brighten that metal up even more so. And that really completed the bronze casting side of things. The stone process is a subtractive method. The stone had to come in a single block and was carved down from that. They were able to carve down the main pedestal stone and the base stone by really just cutting an outline around and then carving down some details. We've got this great insignia on the back side of the pedestal for the Federation of Planets, and on the front side of the stone we had to carve in to accept the stainless steel plate that we were going to be attaching. It was cut out with a laser, then it needed to be treated for the elements, and so we went with a straight black powder coating that had a little bit of a glitter in it so that it looked like stars reflecting in the sun. So all sides of this thing have some creative element to it that represents Star Trek. Then all the elements were combined together to create one sculpt, and that's really all the components that have come together, and all these different contractors in different areas that have come to do it. Everything has been building up to create this wonderful monument that we can now enjoy.
I couldn't be more thrilled or more impressed. It is absolutely stunning. Where is the sculptor himself? Where's Aaron? May I convey to you my personal thanks, and on behalf of Janeway herself, who will not be able to see herself for some time to come, I can assure you that she will be stunned. It's an extraordinary likeness. You have rendered Janeway to the fingernail. And I am a very discerning patron of the arts, and you are indeed an exquisite artist. So I see that gathered here today is a vaunted group of both artists and geniuses, not to mention visionaries. I could not be more moved or more thrilled. I'm going to go up to my granddaughter today, hold her in my arms, look at her and say, engage, my love, engage, and wonderful things will happen. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you for being with us and for your kind words. And we're so happy for you and your newest addition to your family.
Thank you. And make me one promise, all of you, because we will be here when this pandemic subsides, and it will subside. This too shall pass. And then I am coming physically to Bloomington. And we will gather again, and we will indeed, with that very mischievous and wicked EMT, lift a glass of champagne. It will be on me. It will be on Janeway. God bless you all, and red alert. All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, how to follow that, right? We just have a couple of closing remarks here, and I want to remind folks about if you have tickets to the Wonder Lab event at 7 p.m., you can still pick up your materials there. It is a virtual event, though. Upland Brewery has 10% off if you bring any kind of Star Trek swag. The Irish Lion has a bunch of drink specials, a bunch of really fantastic mocktails, and we've got reservations in the little outdoor seating area there, so look for all of us, stop by. And we also want to thank the UU Church, because they're going to be having a fantastic service with similar themes of today, tomorrow at 10. All right, and so with that, again, we will close and allow you to come up and take pictures with the good captain here. Be sure still to maintain your social distance. Be sure, please, to keep your masks on. If you are one of our donors or one of the raffle winners who was able to receive one of our comm badges, you may pick that up at the table right over there. We will also have the souvenir photos of the statue. All right. Yep.
Before we have everybody come up, we're going to ask the steering committee to come up for a few quick photos. So could the steering committee come back up for a few quick photos?
Thank you, everybody. Live long and prosper.